Thank you so much. I'm going to move this a little closer to me. Hi, thank you so much for being here, listening to the music that I've inherited in my family on my father's side. And I know today there will be a lot of focus on that side of the family, and we'll be talking a little bit about a trip that my grandmother did, and she came to Chicago in 1956, and this is something that was probably in the info that you already saw. So we will try to elaborate and talk some more about that, but also as a positive surprise, I met some family on my mother's side also. So this is like a big family reunion. And that is really amazing. So thank you for coming here. But to go back to the music, we're a trio, and we play songs that all originate from Gärdebyn, Rättvik, in the Dalekarlia region of Sweden. And that's where my grandmother, Elsie Börjes, was born, into a family of musicians, fiddlers, spelmän, and she went on a journey, a lifelong journey. She's still alive back in Sweden. She sends her regards. And she eventually ended up in Gothenburg, where I was born and raised eventually. So we want to play some music for you, and this first tune that you heard was a polska called Sköns Hans Polska, a quite popular melody to play, just not like this, because we have reimagined what it could be like to play with more harmony, more rhythm, and also improvisation that we did in the middle of the song. And we usually close our eyes when we do that. So if you're unsure when we improvise, you might take a look, and I might probably be doing this. So that's a good way to know. Not always, but sometimes. So today my Elsie, she came here in 1956 with Rättvik Spelmanslag. They didn't play here. They were in a hall, and I keep forgetting the name. It was called the Greek. It had something to do with Greece as well. I'll look it up. I have it on my computer. So her generation has been here once, and today we are two more generations that are here. So we're gonna play a series of songs, almost like a little suite of 3 songs. And on the first one, we will like to invite my father and Elsie's son, Mikael Andersson. So please come up on the stage. And a round of applause for Mikael. Thank you. And he will play on a little thing that you might never have seen before, but it sounds really good. And we will play 3 songs. The first one is a song composed by Elsie, Michael's mother's uncle, Olle Börjes, who was a very renowned riksspelman, nation fiddler in Sweden. And we will then move on to a gånglåt, reimagined as a way of looking at the surroundings of the area in Rättvik, in Gärdebyn. So it's like taking a look around. You can imagine this in the song, and we'll finish the little suite with a horn song that was usually played on cow horns, some kind of predecessor to this, usually played by women who were out in the forest looking out for the cattle and the cows and the sheep and all the animals. So those 3 songs will be connected to each other, and then I'll talk some more after that. So I hope you enjoy. Thank you. Thank you. So that's, I guess we call it Dala Suite or something like that. I forgot to tell you what the name of the first tune was, and that was Brudviken, Bay of the Bride. And it has a very tragic story to it, because that's supposedly where a bride couple drowned once. As the story goes. So it's a very sad bride song, and we'll play a happy bride song later to balance it up a little bit. And then we played this walking tune, Gånglåt, which is usually played like. But we took it down, and instead of walking that fast, you can kind of just like walk a little slower and look around and see the surroundings of this. I know some of you have been to Rättvik, and I don't know if it matched your memories that you have, but it might. And this last song we played was a cattle calling tune, a horn song. And you heard Lars Ekman play bass on this one, so please give a round of applause to Lars. And now we're gonna let loose our piano player, Alex Prirodny. He is going to play the oldest song that we have in our repertoire. And that song is composed at the end of the 1700s. And we have traced some of our family back to late 1700s as well. So if I know that I just saw this very beautiful chart of family, the lineage, and I hope I can do something similar one day. But for now, I know that I could be the 10th generation to play some of these songs. And that's around the time when people started making their way over here, even a little earlier. So without further ado, we're gonna have Alex play a Dala song that we believe that there must have been someone who came to Rättvik who was classically trained violin player, and this song can really get one's imagination to think about that there are some classical elements in this one. So yeah, I'll go over here. Alex would like to say a couple of words.
Hello everybody, my name is Alex Prirodny. I'm actually probably the only person in this room who is not Swedish, has probably no Swedish roots. Oh, there's one more, yes. Oh, there's two more, okay, well, I have some company. I'm actually from Ukraine originally, but I live in New York. And I'm very happy to participate in this project, playing this beautiful, really amazing music that's passed through generation. I think this is such a cool thing. Oskar introduced me to this song that I'm going to play, and he just gave me this sheet of music, and looks like this. It's very, very black and originally it's yellow. I think I copied it, and it's in handwriting, somebody's handwriting. I think maybe written down 60 years ago, something like this. I think the date here says 1944. And he said, do what you want with this song, and this melody sounds very much like it's written in 18th century, end of 18th century, and sounds very much like Baroque music, like something Bach maybe would write. So I think I will play first the melody itself as it's exactly as it's written, and then improvise a little bit on it using some Baroque elements and maybe something else. All right, Oskar, sounds good? Okay.
Alex Prirodny, please give it up. This is truly a master of improvisation, even though you don't have a master's degree. Yeah, I have. I don't know what happened. And all of this comes from just one melody. There was nothing else on the paper, so it's truly magic. And this is the first time that anyone has played this in public in the United States. So you're the first ones to hear this. So it's fantastic because this music, you can tie it to the past, a lot of the past, 300-400 years ago, but also to the future and the present. And that's what we really enjoy doing. So I think we're gonna go into something completely different now. This is a polska from a very long time ago. It's from the mid-1800s, composed by a fiddler whose name was Tong Gudmund. And it's after him and his master, violin master, Dalarna. And we have reimagined this to sound like something that you would not hear in Dalecarlia. And so I won't say anything more, but it will be fun to play it for you. So here we go. Here's a polska. Thank you so much. Thank you. We're getting closer to the end of this concert, and we have at least one more tune. But depending on how you're clapping, we might play another one. But before we play anything else, I wanted to thank Karin and the whole staff here at the Swedish American Museum for having us here. It's an amazing. It's the first time we're here, and I'm really amazed how beautiful and how nice it is to be here. Also in Andersonville, just seeing, looking across the street and seeing, it's like being. I can't believe it was the third biggest city in Sweden, if that's correct. Okay, we'll talk about it afterwards. But there is a very good exhibition upstairs, and we took a look at it right before the concert started. And they also had one in Gothenburg, last summer, about emigrating here. And that is something that is it keeps coming back. It's something that happens a lot in all times, doesn't matter if it's 2017 or 1845. It's something that always happens. And we want to play a song that is about leaving Sweden and maybe not coming back, never. And this is a tune that was made famous by jazz piano player Jan Johansson and his very, very famous album Jazz på svenska. And we sometimes call ourselves Jazz på Rättviksmål, which is jazz in Rättvik dialect. And we're going to play this emigrantvisa for you. So thank you so much for coming. Mikael Andersson, Lars Ekman, Alex Prirodny, Oskar Stenmark. One more.
Did I miss that happy wedding march that you promised earlier?
All right, yeah, we've been playing so many depressing tunes. And
No, there were some happy ones too, but you sort of told us you would play a happy wedding march.
well, do you want one more? Okay, okay. Yeah, Karin read my mind. We are going to play a happy wedding song, and to finish on the bride's side. And this is a traditional Dalarna, Rättvik bride elevation song, or brudhisslåt, as it's called in Swedish. That's a direct translation, so I don't know how you really say that, but it means that after the wedding ceremony, you usually have a party, a celebration. And you might take one of these long church boats to go somewhere. And at the party, there is one segment of the party where the bride gets lifted up in the air by some strong men or women, and they carry her around in her beautiful traditional costume, of course. I'm only wearing the vest from the Rättviksdräkt as a reminder. And it's... she's carried around the room for everyone to see how beautiful she is. And this is the song that you might play during this ceremony. So thank you so much. We're gonna hear Alex play a little bit of a melodica that I don't think I've ever heard that before in Swedish folk music, but I haven't heard all the songs yet, so but he will be performing on melodica and piano at the same time. So thank you once again for coming, and we do have a CD that we have recorded with these songs. You'll find almost every tune we played today on this record. We can talk about that later. So here is the bride elevation song, Brudhisslåt.
Bye.